everybody, to Sports Scene 13 here on TV 13, along with the entire Blue Ridge Cable crew. I'm Bob Capasso. Tonight we're going to take a step back to the fall as we begin the winter. Chelsea Mullins and Drew Benyo from Jim Thorpe Cross Country with us tonight. Bob Young and the Pleasant Valley girls field hockey team with us as well here on Sports Scene 13. Now, we were supposed to have District 11 champion Jeff Tobias from Palmerton from cross country with us. Unfortunately, Jeff is feeling a little under the weather. Hopefully, we can get him on next week for you. But Jeff, hope you're feeling better. And hope to see you next week here on Sports Scene 13. As we mentioned, we're going to be wrapping up the fall season as we get set for the winter. Some highlights from opening night action, open weekend action, our week one TV 13 boys and girls basketball top fives, and a little bit on what has happened in wrestling this past weekend as they start the season, plus the final football game of the year in our area. And you know what that means? That means we'll take one last look at the TV 13 top five football poll tonight and see who finishes the 1998 season at the top of the top five. Well, one of the teams you know will be up there is Marion. The Colts had a great run. Fell 3 times in the middle of the season, came back and had a great run toward the end. Went all the way to the district championship game, beat Northern Lehigh there on the road, then beat Bermudian Springs last week, putting them in the Eastern Final against Mount Carmel. Now, they had lost to Mount Carmel 28-0 earlier in the year. Mount Carmel, number 1 in the state in AA. Marion trying to make the second meeting a little bit different than the first meeting. Unfortunately for the Colts, it was pretty much the same, dominated by Mount Carmel. Let's head out to Shamokin High School for the action of this one Friday night, as seen here on Blue Ridge Cable TV 13. First quarter, it is a 4th down 16. Look at Nick Sebas. This guy has some great speed, gets to the corner, gets the throw off to Matt Van Doren down to the 9. That keeps the drive alive. Nick Sebas would go in from the 1 for the first of his 4 touchdowns in the game. Mount Carmel leads this one in the first quarter by a score of 7-0. Mount Carmel gets the ball again in good field position. Can't drive, though. And Mike Sinkovich will put up the 34-yard field goal. It is 10-0 Mount Carmel. Last play of the first quarter, Marion trying to run the option, fumbles the pitch. Terry Meyer recovers for Mount Carmel at the Marion 23-yard line. A couple of plays later into the second quarter, Sebas looking to pass, steps up, breaks away, tucks it, and turns on the Jets again. Boy, can he motor. Sebas in for the touchdown, 17-0 Mount Carmel at the half over Marion. Third quarter, Justin Barrasso with this run. On this play, he'd come up limping. Justin would hurt his ankle on this one. He would come back for a couple of plays, but pretty much done for the night, unfortunately, for Marion. So their rushing game is hampered here. Only -2 yards rushing in the game for Marion. After roughing the kicker penalty, Marion did have new life, but on the 4th and 5, Al Dunnity stopped by Ronnie Lentini. Mount Carmel gets the ball back, and we talked about the speed of this guy, Nick Sebas. Wave goodbye. Just wave to him as he goes by, because you're not going to catch him. He goes 75 yards for the touchdown. He, by the way, is only a junior, and it's 24-0 Mount Carmel with the lead. Marion wasn't doing it on the ground, so they go to the air. Unfortunately, Stan DeCoste flushed out of the pocket and is intercepted by All-State cornerback Nick Chesney at the Marion 15-yard line. That would set up Sebas for another one of those quick sprints to the corner. The 4-yard touchdown run makes it 30-0 Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel not only did it offensively, but did it defensively as well. Stan DeCoste will try to throw here, but Chris Cuff and Jay Malachowski, 2 All-State defensive linemen for Mount Carmel, combine on the sack. 5 sacks on DeCoste on the night. Marion is able to put some offense together. DeCoste, who threw for 110 yards, 7 of 16. Hits Neil Nowitzki, who had 3 receptions for 103 yards. That gets them down to the 10-yard line. But on a 4th and 12, DeCoste will be, what else? Sacked by Malachowski. Once again, sacked 5 times in the game. Mount Carmel goes on to win this one by a score of 30-0. There's Whitey Williams, happy but gracious in the win, with congratulations all around to Marion. But there's the final. Marion 30-0. Nick Sebas, 102 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. Mount Carmel goes to the state final.
We look at our schedule. We feel now we're deserving of going because we've been an outstanding team. We played some outstanding teams along the way. Allentown Central was winning. Hopefully that we'll see them there. And Southern Columbia I know will be there. And it's just great for the whole area. There has been so many outstanding stories that happened around this area. Blue Mountain this year, Sealands Grove. It's just been a wonderful year. And like I said, to come out of here 30-0, I think we're deserving of going somewhere and playing. And that's Hershey.
A lot of people didn't even expect us to be here, but we're here, and we're happy that we're here. Nobody could ever take away our district championship, and that's one thing that we'll always have as a team. And this year, it's been totally. I just couldn't even tell you how much fun I had this year. This year was unbelievable. Out of my 4 years here, by far, this has been the most fun year I've ever had. And all I have to say to Mount Carmel is, baby, just keep it in the East. Let's go.
We improved a lot since we played them last, and we thought we'd come out a lot stronger than we did. Undoubtedly, we played out of character. There's no two ways about it. We have the stuff to do it, and we just didn't use it, and we let them make the big plays, and we couldn't do anything on offense, and that's not going to win you a football game.
Again, Marion finishes with a great year. Mount Carmel beats them, though, 30-0 in the Eastern Final. Now, Mount Carmel will play Shady Side Academy Saturday at noon at Hershey in the state championship games. Now, if you would like to see those games, you can see them here on the Blue Ridge cable system. Not on TV 13, but on PCN, Pennsylvania Cable Network. That is, of course, on the Blue Ridge system. The single A game will be noon on Friday. The triple A game, 5 o'clock on Friday. Noon Saturday will be the double A game, and then 7 o'clock on Saturday, the quad A game again on Pennsylvania Cable Network, PCN, on the Blue Ridge system. Well, that is the last area football game of the season. That means we'll have the TV 13 Top 5 football poll. That is coming up in just a moment when we return on Sports Scene 13. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sports Scene 13 here on TV 13. Again, we'll be talking a little bit of fall sports here with Pleasant Valley field hockey and Chelsea Mullins and Drew Benyo of Jim Thorpe Cross Country. That coming up in just a little bit. But as promised, we have our final TV 13 Top 5 football poll. Those of us ranking these guys. Didn't do such a good job in the preseason. We'll show you here. First of all, one of the many non-ranked teams in the preseason. At number 5 is Palmerton. The Bombers finished 7-4, just miss out on district playoffs. They lost in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Palmerton finishes 7-4 and finishes in the number 5 spot. Again, not ranked in the preseason. Number 4 is Panther Valley. What a second half of the season the Panthers had. They finished 7-5. They were not ranked in the preseason. In fact, they weren't ranked much of the season. Why? Well, they started the season 1-4, which means they finished the season 6-1, and they won the Eastern Conference Single A Championship. Bit of a surprise. Panther Valley really coming on in the second half of the season. The Panthers finish the top 5 in the number 4 position. The only team that was in the preseason top 5 and is now in the postseason top 5 is Northern Lehigh. The Bulldogs finished 3rd. After going 10-2, they reeled off 10 straight wins. They were number 5 in the preseason. District runners-up. They had beaten Bristol in the semifinals and lost to Marion in the finals. A great season for Northern Lehigh, tying their most wins ever, 10 wins. Once again, Northern Lehigh finishes district runners-up and number 3 in the TV13 top 5. 1 and 2 were really toughies here, and a lot of battles, a lot of arguments over who should be up there, and classification, and who played better opponents, and who beat better opponents, who was closer in those opponents. Number 2 is Northampton. Concrete Kids gain 2 first-place votes. Most wins ever, 10 wins for the Kids this year, 10-3. And Northampton wins the Eastern Conference 4A championship. Just misses out on district playoffs, but wins the Eastern Conference. The Kids were not ranked in the preseason, but they finish up number 2 in our TV13 top 5. And number 1, the big loss against Mount Carmel, notwithstanding Marion with a great season, 5 first-place votes. The Colts finish number 1 in the TV13 top 5. Speaking of big second half of the season, after winning 3 and then losing 3, Marion comes back and finishes up really strong. 7 straight wins there. District 11 champions. They beat Northern Lehigh in the final, beat Bermudian Springs in the first round of states, went to the Eastern Finals where they lost to Mount Carmel. So Marion finishes 10-4, the number 1 team in our TV13 top 5. And again, Marion was not ranked in the preseason, so congratulations to the Colts, the champs of our TV13 top 5. Well, there were no others that were voted in, but a number of teams, in fact, 4 of them, as you see there, moved in. So 4 teams from the preseason are out. Northwestern started the season number 1. They finished 6-4. Lehighton started number 2. They finished 3-7. Pleasant Valley opened number 3. The Bears finished 3-7. And Stroudsburg opened at number 4. The Mounties finished at 2-8. And again, no others gained votes in the TV13 football top 5. So there you have it. That wraps up the fall season. As far as polls are concerned, Marion number 1, the TV13 top 5. Don't forget, in just a few moments, we'll have our top 5 basketball polls, the first regular season polls of the season. A little bit of change there. Speaking of the winter season, it started out with a bang. We had some champions in wrestling. Our number 1 teams jumped out to a couple of really nice wins. Pleasant Valley in girls and Stroudsburg in boys. Looks like it could be a really good season. And again, those wrestlers had some great performances. We'll talk about them in a moment. We did have some action, as we mentioned. Pleasant Valley in their opener, they took on Palmerton. So let's take a look at our TV13 number 1 team coming out of the preseason. Pleasant Valley taking on Palmerton Saturday night. Jess Martin, who it looks like she's going to have a great season after a really nice field hockey season. Misses the 3 there. She was a little too close, so she steps back, drains the 3. Jess Martin, 19 points, 5 3-pointers in the game. That made it 40-11. Martin again from downtown, another one of her 5 3-pointers. Stacy Smith decides, hey, I could do that too. Smith just on the line, hits the jumper. And then Allison Motz will step up. She says, okay, I could do that too. A step in, the 2-pointer for Motz. Jess Martin, 19 points to lead the Bears, 5 3-pointers. LaToya Peterkin threw in 12 points for the Bears, and the final score 50-18. Pleasant Valley opens the season with a win, and that takes us to our TV 13 top 5 girls basketball polls, and they look this way. First of all, Northampton in the number 5 spot. The Concrete Kids have not started the season yet. They'll start this week. Number 4 is Marion. Marion was supposed to play Friday night against Tamaqua. They postponed that game because of the Eastern final in football. So Marion is also 0-0. They'll start up this week. In fact, we will have them tomorrow here on TV 13 taking on Panther Valley. Stroudsburg gets a win. Stroudsburg beats Bangor 50-28. So the Mounties go to 1-0 and remain in the 3rd spot in the top 5. Number 2 is Panther Valley. Again, we mentioned the Panthers will be on TV 13 tomorrow night against Marion. The Panthers opened with a pair of wins against Cardinal Brennan, 72-31, and against Lehighton, 64-34. Esther Hoffer leading them in both games. So Panther Valley is number 2. And number 1 in our top 5, unanimous up at that spot now, is Pleasant Valley. The Bears, as we saw, open with the big 50-18 win over Palmerton. The Bears are 1-0. In fact, we will see them later on in the season against Stroudsburg here on TV 13. So Pleasant Valley is up at the top of the top 5. Nobody else jumps in because basically the poll is the same as last week, but Wallenpaupack, which opened 2-0, Jim Thorpe opening 2-0, and Notre Dame of East Stroudsburg opening 2-0, all gain top 5 votes in the girls' poll. All right, on to the boys' side. And number 5 is a new team this week. It is Wallenpaupack. The Buckhorns open strong this week in boys basketball. The Buckhorns get a pair of wins, beating Ellenville 69-64 and Hanover 66-57 to open 2-0. Number 4 is Pleasant Valley, not ranked in the preseason either. Pleasant Valley, coming off the district championship a year ago, beats Tamaqua 61-54, which was a top 5 team, and Palmerton 48-46 to open 2-0. Now we have a tie in that 2 spot. Delaware Valley is in one of those 2 positions. 2-0 on the season. The Warriors open with wins against Port Jervis and Bishop Hannon to open up 2-0 and take a share of 2nd place. Marion also gets a share of 2nd place. They did not play again. They had a game postponed this week because of that state semifinal. They were supposed to play Central Columbia on Saturday. They decided to move that game, and rightfully so. Half the basketball team is playing football. And number 1, once again, this is unanimous, is Stroudsburg. The Mounties open up with a win against Bangor, 81-44. So Stroudsburg opens unanimous at number 1 and opens 1-0 this week. Pocono Mountain falls to 0-1 and falls from the poll. They were number 2. Northwestern was number 4. They fall out after an 0-1 start, and Tamaqua opens up 1-1. Tamaqua was number 5. They fall out of the top 5. Palmerton at 1-1, Tamaqua at 1-1, and Pocono Mountain at 0-1. All gain poll votes. As we mentioned, not only in basketball, but wrestling as well. We had some great performances this past week. Northern Lehigh wins the Brandywine tournament. This is a really big tournament, and since the district duels will be District 11 against District 1 in the first round, I messed up. I should have said state duels is a new tournament this year. After district championships, District 11 will play District 1, and that could be down. Brandywine, District 1. Those guys down there saw a bit of what's to come. Northern Lehigh takes that championship. Brandywine 2nd, Governor Mifflin is 3rd, Panther Valley is 4th. Champions in that one from the area, Northern Lehigh's Justin Herzog at 112. Panther Valley's Joel Hunsicker at 119. Steve Lushak of Northern Lehigh at 140. And runners-up, Josh Herzog at 135. Unfortunately, in the final, Herzog suffered an ankle injury. They're not sure how serious it is, but they say it may keep him out this season. We would hate to see that because Herzog was supposed to be one of the guys who could have gone all the way to the state finals this year. We hope that injury is not as bad as they think it is. Also, runner-up, Dwayne Lucian of Northern Lehigh at 171. Tegan McKee from Panther Valley at 189. And Matt Newhart of Northern Lehigh at heavyweight. Tamaqua takes the Bloomsburg Invitational. Jeremy Benzo is a champ at 140. Andy Briner wins Outstanding Wrestler Award, and he is a champ at 152. And how about this? Keith Blows graduates from Northern Lehigh, goes to Ryder as a freshman. What does he do in his first match? He pins an Olympic bronze medalist at 149 at the Sheridan Invitational at Lehigh. He pins Lazaro Reynoso of Carson Newman in 149s to move on, and then finally beats Army's Jeremy Singleton 3-1 in sudden death overtime to take the 149 title. Keith Blows opening his college career with a flurry there, beating an Olympian. That is impressive. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, well, speaking about impressive runs, Chelsea Mullins did a great job in Jim Thorpe Cross Country this year. She and her coach, Drew Benyo, will be with us in just a moment here on Sports Scene 13. Stay with us. Why don't you just, okay, why don't you sit down first? Okay. Now just bring this between there and then just bring it up on your shirt.
Between your legs, it'll sit there about.
Okay. And just clip it this way. Here, excuse me, I just...
You might want to bring it up a little bit more.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Yep. Oh boy. You okay?
Yeah, I'm just getting in a chair.
You just...
You guys need a sound check? What do you want first?
You okay?
Chelsea, will you count to 10, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Thank you.
Chelsea, what year are you? You were a...
2001.
No. Welcome back to Sports Scene 13 here on TV 13. Well, it was a great season in the fall for a lot of things, including cross country and including the lady sitting next to me, Chelsea Mullins of Jim Thorpe. Drew Benyo, also her head coach, with us. First of all, thanks for being with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Chelsea, you were one of our first athletes of the week this year, and you went on, I mean, at the beginning of the year, you thought, oh, this may be a good year. You go on to a Schuylkill League championship, second at districts, 21st at states. Talk about this season and why you feel you did so well.
Well, at the beginning of the season, it wasn't going as well as I had hoped. My first two races, I was really nervous and everything, you know. Even though it was my second year, I was still, I think I was more nervous than last year because everything came a lot more natural to me last year. I can't really explain why, but I found as the season progressed that the work I'd done over the summer started to pay off and everything started to get better, and then I really surprised myself, and I think I surprised a lot of people, and I got second at districts and 21st at states, and all the people on my team this year, I got closer with them, and they all really helped inspire me and everything like that. So
Obviously a hard worker here, Coach.
When she said she was surprised, I wasn't surprised at all. She's definitely works harder than anybody else on the team. She runs more miles than anybody. You have to tell her to slow down, tell her to stop, tell her to back off, and she doesn't listen. She doesn't listen at all. She just loves to run. It's the thing that makes her life, I guess, in some ways. She's really dedicated to what she's doing, so it wasn't a surprise. She earned everything she got. You know, there were no disappointments, even the second place at districts. I told her in the beginning of the year that she was my hero, and I meant it because she's taken us other places that I've never been before. We've never had a league champion, boy or girl. We've never had a #2 at districts, never had a medal winner at states. So, you know, there are places that we've never been before.
And you never had one of your own runners hold your own course record until Chelsea did it.
That's exactly right. I've been coaching there for 11 years now. This is my 11th season, and a girl from Mount Carmel held it on the girls' side, and the boys is held by a fellow from Cardinal Brennan. So it's the first time, yeah. And when she set the record, she set it very far. 1923, I think, the first week, and 2 weeks later she came back around 1922. So she holds the course record at 19 minutes and 22 seconds. It's never been done by a Jim Thorpe athlete before. So it's an accomplishment.
You're talking about hard work. We're going to put in a proposal to the State House in Pennsylvania to raise the driving age to 19, meaning you'd have to graduate, or 18, 19, you'd have to graduate high school before you can get your driver's license. The reason I say that is one of the reasons we don't want you driving to work anymore. Talk about your summer regimen.
Well, to tell the truth, over the summer, I had a job at a rafting company, and I just started to get more into that than running, and I didn't know which one was more important for me over the summer, and my mom just told me, she's like, the only way that you're gonna be able to get better at running and keep this job is if you start running to work. So I guess it was a pretty good idea, and the first time I tried it, I was thinking it was pretty crazy, and I felt pretty sick afterwards, especially since I wasn't used to running. I'm not sure how far it is.
It's about 7 miles from the house.
7 miles.
One way.
That's a good run.
Uphill.
For me, that was a lot in the summer, but after a while, it started to get better, and I started coming to work, and I didn't look so dead. and then I'm sure some of the people that I worked with over the summer are happy that it helped me so much in the season, and if they're watching this, then I hope I get to come back next year and run to work and go rafting every day. But
did you run home too, or did you get a ride home?
Some days I ran home, yeah, and those days.
As if 7 miles wasn't enough.
But in the summer, I love running in the summer because it's so beautiful, and especially after, like, being on the river. Summer days would be perfect for me this past summer, because I would run in the morning, and I would go to work, and I would get to spend time with people and be out on a river, and just then I get to run home and be outside, and I love nature.
That's a lot of work, though. Seven miles there uphill, 7 miles home, and in between putting a whole day of work in.
It's incredible. The Olympic athletes, they do two-a-day workouts, which is basically what she was doing. Plus, and they don't hold a job. So it's upper body strength for the paddling on the river help as well.
Oh, yeah.
You had a lot of exercise this summer.
Yeah, but I didn't work every day of the week, and I only worked pretty much on weekends, so I wasn't doing that all that often. But when I did do it, I think it really helped me out for the season.
Talk about the season. You mentioned you were a little nervous at the beginning of the year, but I remember, Coach, I think it was the first meet of the year was the first time she broke the record. Even if you were nervous, I mean, you really jumped in with both feet this season.
I find that running is the one thing in my life that I really can put my whole self into. And since there's only one race a week, in that one race, I try my hardest. Running takes, it's more concentration. It's more your mind than your body, really, in a race. Like, running by yourself, you don't really have to think about it all that much, and that, I guess that does determine how well you do in races, how well you do when you're by yourself, and it's just the natural way that your body runs. But in races, I mean, anybody can just surprise themselves for how much they push themselves, and I think I really push myself in races. I know I do, because I'm always exhausted. And I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you don't leave anything out there. Whatever's there, whatever's in Chelsea on race day comes out. She just like she just said, she pushes herself harder than anybody. She's a mess when she comes across the finish line. You can't talk to her for the longest time afterwards until she walks around and calms down. And she hollers at you if you do things. You know, we went to Weatherly for the freshman sophomore meet, and people along the course are hollering, "Chelsea, go, Chelsea, go, Chelsea!" And she finished, and she's just in a huff. And I said, "What's the matter, Chelsea?" She said, "Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me when I run." So next week, it was kind of funny because that was a Saturday, and then Wednesday we had our meet against Weatherly up there, same exact course. So when I listened to her, and I got to the top of the hill and watched them come around the school and come up the top of the hill, and I just stood there and watched her go by. I didn't say a word to her, you know, and she just looked at me like, "What do I do? What do I do?" But no, she's her own individual person, and it takes a while. She gets herself so psyched up and to run, and then it takes a while to calm her down, and she does it very, very well. But she's right. There's a lot of concentration involved, and it's a lot mental. A lot's in your head, and she's a tough kid. She really is a tough kid. She's got a lot going for her, and you know, she's very strong at what she does, and she loves it, and it shows. It shows.
Go ahead.
No, I love having him as a coach because he supports me in everything that I want to do, and he never tells me, "No, that's too much," or "You're not doing enough." He just trusts. It seems like he seemed to trust me more this year and what I want to do.
Well, and as I mentioned before, I don't like the fact that you beat yourself sometimes into the ground, because that's always in the back. You're always on a fine edge. You know, you try and get all the kids to a certain point. And I told Chelsea before, you get her to a certain point and you want to stay there, but you can't stay there forever. You can't stay on that edge, and you walk a fine line from between injury and being very, very competitive and very strong. And that's the thing that always concerns me. And she's had some injuries this year, and you know how you get when you get injured, it's just like, stay away from me. Now I can't run. You know, first of all, I could run and I could act the way I want to, and now I can't even do that, and take something tremendous away from her. But she comes back strong. She comes back really strong. But yeah, I trust you. I know you know what you're doing, and you know we've talked about that many times. You know, she does. She knows how much she has to do and where she has to be, and she's there all the time.
Funny thing is, sometimes is it a case that some things work for certain people and not for others?
We couldn't do with anybody else on the team except maybe one or two, maybe Rob Thomas and you know, maybe over the years a couple other kids. We could not do that with what Chelsea does. Like I said, nobody works that hard. Nobody wants to work that hard and push themselves that hard. And for her, it's just, she just loves it. It's fun and it's a good time. It's enjoyable, and she likes to be outside, and it's the perfect sport for her at the perfect time of the year. But if I push the rest of the kids the way that she pushes herself, it's not me pushing her, it's her pushing herself, I wouldn't have a team.
Is there any fear of burnout, though? I mean, since she's worked so hard.
During the season?
Well, during the season, off season, either one. I mean.
Sometimes I get sick of running, but if I take even a day off the next day, I like it again. But sometimes if I get burned out, if I get one of my friends from the team to run with me, just their whole attitude about it, like how we're saying that they don't take it as serious as I do, I like that. I mean, they just make it seem so much more fun, and that's one of my favorite things about running with the team. But burnout, yeah, I was burnt out. I was burnt out at the end of the season.
The last week, Wednesday, we were at Mauch-Chunk Lake Park on our own course, and we were doing speed work before the state meet. And it was cold and it was damp and it was miserable, and we really, you know, you wanted to be there, you had to get that last speed workout in. So we did the first mile, and they used the mile coming back as recovery. Did the second mile, and her hands are cold, and she's shivering, and her nose is running, and she doesn't feel good, and you know, and we're all in the same situation because it was really cold and damp. So she did the second mile, and I said, okay. She comes back and she goes, I can't believe this. I didn't do hills all week. I didn't run all weekend. Now I'm tired. Now my body doesn't work, and she's going on and on and on. I said, okay, Chelsea, let's get out of here. She goes, no, we got another mile to do. So it was kind of funny because we walked down to the first mile, turnaround, and we were going to run the mile back. And we got down there, and Angie Gula was with us, a state qualifier, and Angie said, Coach, I can run this, but I can't run it fast. I said, okay, and Rob Thomas was there, and he said, I can run this, but my leg hurts. Chelsea goes, my leg hurts too. Let's not run this. And we didn't, and we did, and we all blamed her. We all blamed Chelsea. But it was fun. It was nice because we got a chance to talk, which we don't do during the season because I can't run with her. You know, we got a chance to talk about school and about what was going on at home, what was going on in the family, and it was really enjoyable time. I enjoyed that practice more than any of the others because I had a chance to spend with the three kids, and that's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah. And you know what? I wouldn't worry about burnout because those of us who love what we do, you know, no matter how much you love something, there's always a point where you get a little burned out. doing even what you love the most. So I wouldn't worry so much about a little burnout. Talk about the league meet. I mean, the Schuylkill League meet is a tough meet. Everybody in the Schuylkill League is there. Some of the best runners around are there. That's always a battle. You came out on top. Talk about, how you felt going in, what the race felt like, and, your feelings after you came across first.
I think that I was the most nervous about that race because it's such a hard course with the uphill, and I'm horrible on uphills. And I didn't even think about the downhills in the course. So I guess I was just looking to get up that hill, and then from there on out, I knew I just wanted to move up to as high as I could get in finishing. I just wanted to be in the top 5, and then everybody else was slowing down because when you start, you have to go right up that hill, and I didn't even look around me, because if I look at other people, I seem to just be like, oh, well, she's slowing down, I can slow down. But I was dying. I didn't look at them, and I just got to the top of the hill, and there was nobody around me. And I'm really good on downhill, so from there on, I was so happy. I was just flying down the hills. I just let myself go. And by the end of the race, I was really tired, because I think I didn't realize how fast I was running and how tired I was getting, because my mind was just like, oh my God. And that's one of my favorite courses too, because there's all the fields, and you could just see the sky, and you could see really far out. But when I finished in that race, I was amazed. But then after the race, I told Coach, I was like, I can't think about this, because I have to just look at the next race, or else I'm going to get too happy and I'm going to let myself relax. And then I probably won't do as good in the next one, because, do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing I told you when I saw her after she crossed the finish line was, you're going to have a tough week of practice next week to get ready.
Yeah.
Remember? And we did. We did. And, she can't let up. She doesn't let up. Yeah.
Drew, what were your feelings when you saw her come across? I mean, toward the end of it, did you look up and say, oh my God, she's winning? No. She's up in first place. Wow. Or was it, told you, there she is?
No, I don't tell her that, because she tells me, don't tell me where I am. Don't tell me anything that makes me nervous. She said, don't tell me I can win. Don't tell me. But she can, and she knows she can in the back of her mind. And I knew she could too. We went to the 1.25 1.5 mile mark where they crossed the road. When they're finished with the uphill, and they're working on their downhills now. And she's a very, very strong downhill runner, extremely strong. In fact, she gives Rob Thomas a hard time when they run together going downhill. He has a hard time keeping up with her. So, that's how good she is going downhill. But I kind of expected where she was. I knew there'd be competition, and there was. But I expected her where she was. But now you don't see her once she crosses that 1.5 1.25 miles where I watched her on the road. I don't see her until she comes to the finish line, and it's a kind of an S-turn in the parking lot. And when you come around, you can see somewhat off in the distance, but not the whole field coming through all the parking lots. And when she came through, it was just like, yes, yes, it's a great feeling. It's just, you see the people jump up and down, and just the excitement is there. But when it's one of your runners, it's just a tremendous feeling. It's a tremendous feeling. And like I said earlier on, she deserved everything she got. Nobody works harder. Nobody pushes themselves as hard as she does. And I agree with you. I think they should raise the driving limit to at least 18 or 19, because I don't want her to be distracted at all, because she has 2 more years, and we're looking forward to it, because she can go wherever she wants to go.
Finally, again, you're only a sophomore, district second place, league champ, 21st estates. What else is there? I mean, can you take the next step? Can you get the district gold? Can you, get up toward the top? I know those are, when you talk about states, you're afraid to talk about championship. But, top 5, a first place in states, I mean, what does the future hold?
Well, when I think about the season, I can't really believe what I did anyway. Like, I never expect anything like that. So next year, I mean, I'm going to look at each race, and you never know what's going to happen. But if I train as hard as I did this year, and I think I learned a lot this year, that will help me next year. And I knew this year, like, I hadn't trained as hard as I could. I knew I could be stronger. I told Coach after one of our practice runs, I was like, I can be stronger than this. Next year, I hope I do get a better place at states, and maybe someday I could get in the top 5. Who knows? But
well, good luck to you. Great season this year. Hope to see you next year with maybe district or state championship. Good luck to you, Chelsea. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chelsea Mullins and Coach Benyo, Drew Benyo, with us here on Sports Scene 13. We're going to be right back. When we come back, we turn to Pleasant Valley Field Hockey. Stay with us here on Sports Scene.
Chair is so low. Look at it.
Sound check.
Sound check. Angie first. Count to 10, please.
1, 2, 3.
Next.
1, 2,
Next.
3. 1, 2, 3.
You're next. Go.
1, 2, 3.
And you put the wire behind your tie. Yeah.
Chair up more.
There's Welcome back to Sports Scene 13 here on TV 13. We're now joined by the Pleasant Valley Field Hockey team. Right next to me is Angie Smith, Katie Schmidt, Beth Kachurik, and Coach Bob Young. First of all, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
And another great run, I should say a bounce-back run for Pleasant Valley. You go to the district final and to the states again after a bit of a lull of a couple of years. First of all, talk about the run you got on to get through states and get into, or excuse me, through districts and get into the state tournament.
Go ahead, Beth.
Well, we started out the season very strong. We had really high hopes for our team this year. We had a great team this year. We had Tara Morris coming back. She's leading scorer in the league, and Jess Martin and Angie and Katie and Stacy Smith and myself. And we had really high hopes, and we had some tough losses near the end of the season. But we knew we had to bounce back. We got the second C in districts, and I think when we won the district semifinal, that was the most important game for us. And then to get to the district final, lose was hard. But then once we finally made it to states, I think that we even though we lost, we were so glad to be there.
Talk about getting through the districts first of all, and that semifinal and how important that was.
I think that we had our mindset on going to states, ever since we were little. Everyone talked about us being the team, to go far and stuff like that. So once we played Darif and won there, I think that psyched us up a lot. And then we went on and we knew Easton was our big game. Because if we, beat Easton, we'd go on to states, we knew we had that game. And I think that's what got us going. That win just we were like so happy after that win, and that's what kept our spirits up. And
now, this was a team over, especially a couple of years ago. What did we mention? 1995 was the last time you went to states. You had a bit of a lull. I mean, I don't want to say you were horrible, because you weren't, but a bit of a lull. This year, you're able to bounce back in the states. What did you do over the last 2-3 years, maybe, to get to this point and be able to bring this program back to the state tournament?
We just had a good crop of girls. This has been an exceptional year. We've had 8 superb seniors, and most of them starters, and they were around for the last 2 years, so they were garnering experience along the way. This was the year, if they were going to do it, this was the year to do it. So it was a question of, this was a really good crop of girls, and it happens like that. You do get lulls. Not that the girls in the previous 2 years were poor hockey players, far from it. They were excellent hockey players, but we had a higher concentration of excellent players this year. And that's what you need. You need a core, you need a half a dozen truly first-class players to get to the heights that states require.
Now, Bob, obviously, once you speak, we hear the accent from England. It's funny because you, a couple of years ago, brought some of the girls over there to watch what is really top-ranked field hockey. What do you think that you've brought to this program, and trips like that have been able to bring to the program?
Yes, I was lucky enough to take a group of students over to England. We weren't watching, however, we were playing. And it's because of my background, that was a relatively easy trip to organize. It wasn't exorbitantly priced, so it enabled, I think we took 13 girls. But to answer your question specifically, I don't know that I brought anything different, really, other than a kind of international aspect. I talk about it a little bit, about how the game's played elsewhere. We've been to see an international game or so. We try and see as much as we can. I don't think I've done anything different to any other American coach, as far as I'm aware.
Would you agree? Is it, or have you seen a difference with Coach, that he's seen what is, I think, maybe a bigger game in England? Guys and the girls?
Yes, I mean, it is. I wouldn't say it's bigger at high school. Then high school sports in general are not as important, and there's no great emphasis placed upon them as it is here. But beyond, the difference is we have sports beyond high school. I'd love to see more come over here. I know in the big city areas we have them, but I'd love to see field hockey come, outside of high schools, clubs. That's what we're talking about, because that's where most of our top players come from. That's why internationally, perhaps America, United States, could do even better, I think, if they had a club network. All your whole national team is essentially college students, either seniors or just graduated. Whereas in Britain and most other European countries, they tend to be established players who have been playing in clubs since they were small, and as well as at high school, as well as at college, they play in clubs.
And to the girls, what do you feel playing under Coach Young? What is the best part of being on this team?
I think we're like a family, kind of. We got really close this year. Last year we were close to the seniors, we lost them, but we, get together and have stuff, team meetings and, dinners and stuff like that, and we just, I don't think it's any different than, playing for anyone else, but we just pull together, I think, more like a group.
What were some of the high points of this season? Maybe for each of you, where did you feel those real highs? I mean, maybe aside from the district semifinal, which is the easy one, that big win. What other big points for each of you came about this season?
A high point for me was that toward the middle of the season, I kind of got in a lull, I felt like, in my playing, and I felt like I wasn't really playing to my potential. And then more toward the end, I really brought myself back up, and I stepped it up, and I think I played to my highest potential, and that was the best part for me.
I think I hit my high point in the middle, though, because I moved from defense up to a midfield position, and that's when I think I hit my high. And then, you know, Coach told me, you know, I can play like that all the time. That's when I knew I had to step it up to play like that every game, because I knew that was the potential that I could play at.
Well, this is the first year that I was actually a forward. In 2 previous seasons, I kind of had a tendency to go where I didn't belong, and people get sort of mad. So this year I was actually a forward, and I think the two highest points in this season for me is when we beat Pocono Mountain twice. And both times I scored the goal that won the game, and for me that was the 2 of the best games of the season with my teammates. So.
Yes, and I don't have a strong memory for individual games. They all tend to merge. I have trouble differentiating one season from another. You know, I think it's old age, but yeah, I can't. Some of the games that I most enjoyed are the games we didn't. The final results went against us. Actually, I really enjoyed both games against Nazareth, although we lost both games. But 2 games I thought we could have won. I enjoyed playing Lehighton as well, because they're always there was a good group of girls to play against. So, you know, the semi-final was probably the time when we clicked the best, especially backs, forwards, into midfield. And that's where we really got our rhythm going. Early on, we'd had a couple good games, and we had a little bit of a lull in the middle, and we came back strongly at the end. But I wouldn't, not particular games stand out. It's just how the girls play from time to time. When they're playing well, I'm happy. You know, when they're passing the ball around and not chasing lost causes, you know, and when they're, you know, and when they're really playing to their best potential, that's when I'm happiest. I'm not so worried about the results.
We're with the Pleasant Valley field hockey team. We're going to take a break right now. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more with PV in just a moment here on Sports Scene. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sports Scene 13 here on Blue Ridge Cable. We're with the Pleasant Valley field hockey team, district runners-up. District runners-up, I mean, you really had a nice run at districts toward the end of the season as well. Second seed. At what point in the season did you guys think to yourself, well, maybe we could do something this year?
I think that it was our second game. We played Easton, and they're always a really tough team, and the past few years we didn't we didn't beat Easton. It was never really a big loss, but then when we beat them this year, we beat them 1-0, and I think that really showed us that we could really go places this year.
Even games that we lost, I think even games, where we came out not winning, and, I think it still showed us against hard teams that we could do it and we could go out there. Even though we didn't put the ball in the goal when we needed to, we played as a team and we pulled through as a team, and everyone did what they had to do, and it showed us that once we put all that together, we'll be able to go far.
All three of you are seniors. Any future plans at all?
We're all planning to go to college, a 4-year college, and we all want to play hockey, so that's all we know so far.
No concrete plans at all?
Not yet.
What do you leave this program with, and what do you take with you?
I think what we take with us is easier to say. I take with me the best memories of high school, the best friends I've ever had, and playing with these girls all these years has been such a privilege, and with our coach who we love, and I'm so glad we had a good season for him as his first year as head coach. That's something I wanted to do, and I just take with me the memories and all the fun that we had in high school, and I hope that it carries over into my college career.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with what she said. I take with a lot of memories, and I also take with me so many things that I've learned, not only from my coach, but from the other players. We taught each other a lot of things. We're always there for each other.
No matter what, you knew you had someone to turn to, and you knew you had your close friends, and we pulled through as a team, and we went through the ups and downs together, and I'll never forget that, and I hope that in college, I can form that with my team there.
And Coach, you're staying.
Yes, I'll be staying, yes. They'll have to cart me away.
What happens next then?
We have a new year, and it's already begun. We play intramurals, and no doubt we'll do our usual summer hockey as well. It'll be difficult without this crop of seniors. I shall miss this crop of seniors immensely. They've been terrific. They've worked really hard, and they've really shown tremendous leadership, more so than other senior groups that I can remember. Tremendous. Having said that, we've got a good crop of juniors, an excellent crop of sophomores, and the future looks promising. The JVs did very well this year, as they usually do. So we have high hopes. We always expect to get to districts at least, and the last 6 years we have. So with a little bit of luck, we can get a little bit further than we got to, this season, but we'll wait to see. A lot has to happen between now and the start of next season, really. Because to match the dedication of this group of seniors, the juniors and sophomores know they have a hard task.
All right. Bob, best of luck to you. Ladies, best of luck to you in the future as well.
Thank you.
Coach Bob Young, Beth Kacharik, also Katie Schmidt, Angie Smith with us. The Pleasant Valley Bears field hockey team, district runners-up this year, and on to states. We wish them best of luck to a little bit more this next year. We thank all of you for joining us here on Sports Scene 13. We're going to get into the winter a little bit more next week as we head on into the winter season. Hope you join us each week here on Sports Scene. For the entire Blue Ridge Cable crew, I'm Bob Capasso. We'll see you next week on Sports Scene 13. So long.